Chicago teachers are still on strike, causing student athletes to miss playoff games.
Researchers in Rochester are developing a new vaccine for E. coli.
And a fraternity from a popular university is suspended after a death of a minor.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Matt Green.
And I'm Brianna Lynn.
Penn State University has suspended the campus Alpha Delta chapter of the Chi Phi fraternity until more information is known about the death of a minor. Campus police responded to an emergency call to an off-campus house Saturday night at around 9:30 p.m. According to police, a 17-year-old male was found unconscious and was experiencing shallow breathing. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
Michael Azarian, the executive director of the Chi Phi fraternity, says, quote, "The Chi Phi fraternity prayers are with this young man's family and friends during this incredibly difficult time. While the incident at an off-campus resident was not part of fraternity activities, we will monitor the investigation by the university and local officials," end quote. The death comes after 2 years since 19-year-old Timothy Piazza died pledging at the campus Beta Theta Pi fraternity.
The I-81 highway project in Syracuse is pushing their boundaries closer to many neighborhoods. Many families that live close to Interstate 81 have managed to live at peace with the current highway situation. However, the announcement that the I-81 projects are starting soon have residents questioning how much more property they are going to lose. The Department of Transportation estimates that they will need to take property from over 100 residents that line Interstates 81 or 690.
The Historic Landmark Theater in downtown Syracuse received a $2 million grant this morning to replace the marquee and seating. According to Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli, the improvements are long overdue as the lighting of the marquee is broken beyond repair, and the current theater seats, which have been there since the theater opened in 1928, are too small. The marquee will be replaced with an LED upgraded replica of the original, and the seating will be rebuilt in accessibility compliance.
Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the first round of funding for areas along Lake Ontario working to prevent more flooding. Cuomo said Monroe County will receive $43 million to fund its planned projects, while Wayne County will be receiving $41 million for its plans. A total of 43 projects were approved for the funding in the two counties, both of which suffered significant damage over the last few years due to higher lake water levels along the lake.
A third man will face murder charges in the death of 12-year-old James Springer III of Syracuse after a broken guilty plea. Anthony Rodriguez initially pleaded guilty to a weapons charge in an attempt to avoid murder charges, but the prosecutors say the plea deal no longer stands because Rodriguez chose not to testify against Johanan Pizarro, the alleged shooter who was assisted by Rodriguez as a getaway driver. Pizarro has been acquitted of all charges, and Rodriguez's trial is scheduled for March.
Rochester Clinical Research is working to develop an E. coli vaccine. Researchers say E. coli causes hundreds of thousands of infections in the U.S. each year. While many strains are harmless, some have developed a resistance to antibiotics in recent years. Researchers are developing a vaccine to prevent blood, lung, and kidney infection from E. coli. Researchers are looking for participants between the ages of 60 and 85.
A cadet missing from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point has been found dead. 20-year-old Cade Carita had been missing since Friday after failing to show up for a military skills competition. The Academy says they did not believe Carita was a threat to others when he went missing, but he may have been a danger to himself. West Point officials say the cause of his death is under investigation, but foul play is not suspected.
Last night, an armed robber entered a Long Island Dunkin' Donuts demanding money. But thanks to an employee, the robber was restrained. Eileen Famer has more.
I was on the ground, like the guy had the knife close to slicing my throat.
25-year-old Austin Manott says it happened so fast. Last night, just before 6, he was washing dishes at his job at the Dunkin' on Horseblock Road in Medford. The next minute, a guy walks in with a large knife to rob the place.
He had a stocking over his head, and he pushed the girl to the back and was holding her with the knife towards her, and he came at me because he wanted the draw. He's like, "Give me the draw," and he called me the N-word, and I refused to give him the draw. I said, "Nah, you gotta get out of my Dunkin'."
Police identify the suspect as 61-year-old Frank Annunziata Jr. Austin says it was just him and his 2 younger female co-workers in the store at the time.
When I saw him hold that knife to the girl, I was like, nah, it's not going down like this, bro.
And Austin says the struggle then spilled out here to the back parking lot. And believe it or not, at that moment, Austin's older brother pulled up.
He was on the ground, he was on his back, and he was yelling, "Help, help, help, help." When I saw his eyes, he looked up at me, and then we saw eyes, and I was like, just grabbed the guy and brung him down. Had to bring him down hard.
If he didn't come, I would have been going.
Police say a second Good Samaritan also helped restrain Annunziata until police arrived.
We don't advise it or encourage it, but they helped us do our job as Good Samaritans.
Austin says there was no other choice.
It would be embarrassing to have something happen to one of the girls and I didn't take no action either way. You know what I'm saying? I understand there's procedures on how to handle stuff in situations like where you get robbed. But in that situation, it was either life or death. And I chose to live. I chose not to die.
Annunziata is being charged with attempted robbery and assault. Coming up later tonight, Chicago teachers continue to strike.
And PG&E announces a new round of power outages.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Jacob Romowitz.
Good evening. The weather tonight not looking too exciting at all. 49 degrees in Fulton. Winds from the southwest at 7 miles an hour. If we take a look to Syracuse, a little bit cloudier, 46 degrees, winds once again from the southwest at 7. Weather looks pretty boring. What about tomorrow? Well, we'll see. You might need a fat cup of coffee to wake you up in the dreary weather. We'll talk to you after the break. Welcome back to WTOP 10. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Jake Romowitz. Let's take a look at the weather today. 48 degrees, the weather tonight. 48 degrees is your low temperature, mostly clear skies tonight with the wind 10 to 15 miles per hour from the south-southwest. Tomorrow, remember how I said that it was a bit boring tonight? Well, check this out. Chance of showers, 59 degrees, winds again from the south-southwest at 10 to 15. Now, if you recall, I did say how fat of a cup of coffee you need to wake you up. Well, this is Jake's coffee shop. Let's show you. So I'm thinking maybe a medium cup of coffee. Let's look. Like I said, 59 degrees with a chance of showers. Not the best day tomorrow morning to wake up. If you're a coffee drinker, I say a medium is your go-to. Now, let's take a look at our futurecast. This is right now at around 9 p.m. Pretty clear. If we go towards breakfast, maybe tomorrow morning, Oswego getting a little bit of some cloud cover at 7 a.m. And the clouds will increase along with some chances of some showers at Thursday around noon, your lunchtime. And as we go forward through the day, the clouds will begin to persist across all of Oswego County. This is around dinner time on Thursday. And as we go through the night, it does clear up, but then right back on your doorstep tomorrow morning are some more clouds for Friday morning. As we go through again, look, maybe even some lake effect clouds, some heavier clouds, and maybe some poor visibility around Friday. Once you get to Friday evening, however, things do begin to clear up a little bit. Now, let's take a look at the next 7 days. As I said, Thursday, a little bit warm, 60 degrees, some showers. Friday, a little bit cooler, actually 51. That's the coolest that you're going to see on the map this weekend. Today. And then Saturday and Sunday this weekend, actually looking pretty good. Saturday, a high of 54. Once again, a bit chilly. Sunday, however, 58 degrees and some showers. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, highs in the mid-50s, looking pretty good until you get to Wednesday, where I've actually been checking the models, and we could see some lake-enhanced precipitation maybe as we head to the tail end of this week. I'd watch towards Halloween and maybe November 1st. So this is your 7-day forecast. I'm Storm Team 10, Jake Romowitz. Sometimes I can't talk. I'll catch you after the break. Have a nice night.
24 House Republicans were left upset over the impeachment inquiry and stormed a secure hearing room. The conservative lawmakers, led by Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, barged into the deposition and demanded they be allowed to see the closed-door proceedings, where the members of 3 committees plan to interview Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary Laura Cooper. The protests ended after the House Republicans left to attend a House voting session.
Chicago teachers are now on their 7th day of their strike, causing student athletes to miss their playoffs. The longer the strikes continue, the more student athletes will be affected. The strike started last Thursday, and more than 300,000 students have missed their classes. The soccer and tennis teams were prohibited from competing in the playoff tournaments. The strikes are also threatening Chicago Public Schools football playoffs. According to union officials, coaches are making the difficult choice to stay on strike in order to improve conditions for student athletes in the long term.
Part of a mural painted in downtown Lexington, Kentucky is being painted over because it contains a curse word. The mural has gotten lots of attention thanks to anti-Trump message, the anti-Trump message included. Alex Valverde has more.
In a city covered with art that's often up for interpretation, a new mural is on display with a more direct message. Located off Church Street, the artwork shows the faces of different women and a snake coming out of a spray paint can. And by the snake's mouth, the words, F Trump.
I'm not trying to make people angry. I'm trying to make people talk.
Elle is the New York artist behind the mural. She says it took about a week to finish and says she wanted it to be a conversation starter.
He's trying to divide people and to say immigration is bad and, sort of promoting racism. And I think it's so important to start a grassroots conversation saying, hey, this is wrong. Like, we need to love each other. We need to be there for each other.
Elle was invited to Lexington by John Winters, co-founder of Prohibition, a street art festival that has brought in artists to create many of the city's murals.
We give our artists full creative control, so we had no input or kind of approval over it, and she made a choice that she felt very strongly about and put it on the wall.
And while the mural hasn't been up long, it's already getting attention.
Man, that's crazy. That's disrespectful to the president. That makes Lexington look bad.
Love it. Prohibition does a great job. It's beautiful, and I appreciate the beautification of downtown.
Winters says the mural is privately funded and is on a privately owned building. When we reached out to city officials, Susan Straub with the mayor's office responded with the same information, saying, quote, no public dollars are involved in this mural. As much as we don't agree with the use of vulgarity, this is a free speech issue, end quote.
Less than 2 days after the mural was painted, Michael Davidson, who is the building's owner, hired someone to cover over the profanity. Davidson said he did not know the mural would contain anti-Trump messages.
Authorities have found the remains of 3-year-old Camille McKinney, who was recently abducted from a birthday party. The remains were found in a landfill near the apartment complex where the girl was last seen. Patrick Stallworth and Derek Brown were taken into custody, and the police questioned them after McKinney went missing. The cause and time of McKinney's death have not yet been determined.
PG&E is announcing a new round of power outages Wednesday morning. The company will shut off power to parts of 17 different counties, affecting some 180,000 customers. That's because dry and windy conditions make part of the Golden State ripe for wildfires. John Loring reports.
A Los Angeles neighborhood getting back to normal after Monday's wildfire threatened about 200 homes and scorched dozens of acres.
We were out, sitting in the patio, noticed a smoke cloud coming up over the hill.
Crews in the Pacific Palisades area were able to get the blaze under control in just over 10 hours.
They saved the house, great firemen.
But now other parts of the state are bracing for wildfires due to high winds and dry earth. Earlier this month, these same conditions led utility companies in the state to cut power to nearly 800,000 residents for safety concerns.
But we are expecting it to be the second strongest offshore wind event of the season thus far.
Officials say anytime power shutoffs are necessary, residents will be contacted well in advance by texts, emails, and phone calls.
Fully understand the impact of not having electric service. We fully understand how disruptive that is to all of you.
And more wildfires and outages are expected throughout the rest of wildfire season.
Well, we're looking at potentially another event this weekend, Friday, probably Saturday morning, Sunday.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
PG&E says nearly 180,000 of its customers in 17 counties could be left in the dark.
British police have launched a murder investigation after 39 people, including a teenager, were found dead in a truck at an industrial park in southeast England. Police have arrested a 25-year-old truck driver from Northern Ireland on suspicion of murder. British officials believed the container traveled from Zeebrugge, Belgium, and arrived in England around 12:30 in the morning. The truck was moved to a secure location to continue the investigation.
Honda has announced they're going to start selling only electric and hybrid vehicles in Europe starting in 2022. The automotive company says it will launch 6 new models over the next 3 years to meet their goal. Honda is not the only car company to be releasing electric cars. Volkswagen and Hyundai are joining the Green Initiative within the next few years. Coming up in sports, Mike Gross.
Mike Gross, can you give us a quick preview?
Thanks, guys. Coming up, the men's soccer team will take the field in the SUNYAC playoffs for the first time in the Dan Kane coaching era, and the NBA is expanding its roles of referees. Stay tuned for more here on WTOP 10. Welcome back to WTOP 10. I am Michael Gross, and it's time for your sports report. The Oswego State field hockey team picked up their 4th win of the season at Cayuga College yesterday. The Lakers won by a score of 3-2 thanks to goals from 3 different players. The first scored by freshman Casey Simser just under 6 minutes into the contest. The next by sophomore Alyssa DeMichael, and the last came in overtime by freshman Megan Delaney. Delaney picked up an assist as well as the game-winning goal, which was the first of her collegiate career. The field hockey team laces up again on Saturday at 11 a.m. for senior day at the Laker Turf. The Oswego men's soccer team has clinched their first playoff berth since 2014. Coach Dan Kane has led this team to a 9-5-1 overall record and a 4-2-1 conference record with 1 weekend of SUNYAC play left. Oswego rolls into this weekend 4th in the current SUNYAC standings and are eyeing down the 3-seed Buff State, who they play in Buffalo on Saturday. If Oswego State beats Buff State, they are guaranteed to host a SUNYAC playoff game and will look to win a SUNYAC playoff game for the first time since 2006. Now, the World Series began last night in Houston as the Astros took on the Washington Nationals. The AL Cy Young leader, Garrett Cole, took the mound for the Stros as good as he was against the Yankees in the ALCS. The Nationals had him figured out. Juan Soto led the charge, going 3 for 4 at the plate with a home run and 3 RBIs. The Nats are just 3 dubs away from winning their first World Series in franchise history, with Game 2 happening tonight. Since 1891, men have been ruling the game of basketball as players and referees. Since 1925, basketball has had 5 different names in America: the BAA, the NBL, the NBPL, the ABA, and currently the NBA. Surprisingly, there have been the same amount of female referees as league names until now. Jenna Schroeder will be the 6th female referee the NBA has ever had after spending her time in the G League, the WNBA, and several college conferences. This is a good sign for the NBA as its efforts to diversify continue. Well, we're going to start the NBA season off right with some Lakers-Clippers action. Anthony Davis suiting up for the first time for the Lakers. Kawhi Leonard suiting up for the first time for the Clippers. We'll start in the 3rd quarter. Anthony Davis, an outlet pass to James, who throws it down on the fast break. And the Lakers are now trailing. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will pull up from the short corner, but Anthony Davis throws it down. Lakers down by 10. Now 4th quarter, Kawhi Leonard driving, throws a ball fake, turns, spins, a fader, falls to the ground and makes it. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers would go on to win 112-102. Anthony Davis and LeBron James combining just for 11 points in the second half, shooting just 5 for 18. But that man right there, Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, had 30 points in the Clippers win. The Clippers will start off 1-0 on the season.
That's awesome. So, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about men's hockey this weekend? We're playing Nazareth, right?
Yeah, well, men's hockey picked up that big win against Carleton last weekend, and they won 9-1. And now they're going to face Nazareth, who they played as well last year, and they'll look for another win.
Yeah, let's hope so. I was watching that game, and it was an impressive blowout, let me tell you. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Craziness.
I'm so excited for hockey season.
Oh, me too, by all means.
And it seems like we've got a good group of guys this year. They're doing pretty well.
So how about a final weather check?
All right, let's talk about the weather. So like I said, today's weather kind of boring, not gonna lie. However, the weather this weekend should be a little bit kind of, well, gross. You see Sunday some showers. Thursday, however, like I said, pretty boring with a high now 61 with some showers. Friday, a bit cool, 51. That's pretty chilly for this time of year. All right.
60s and 50s. I feel like that's the perfect fall weather.
Yeah, especially when there's football too. You could go outside, play some football with your friends. Maybe a little apple picking.
Yes.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
actually went apple picking last weekend, and I also went pumpkin picking because I needed to get both fall festivities out of the way.
Yeah, I didn't do any apple picking or pumpkin picking yet. Can't talk today, but I did stop at Ontario Orchards the other day. I bought some nice baked goods from the place. It was a nice little place. It was a nice little break from Walmart, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And with Halloween coming up, the fall vibes are like everywhere, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about the weather for Halloween. I have some bad news for you trick-or-treaters. I'm thinking cold and rain and maybe a chance for some snow. Unfortunately.
No way.
Yeah, I know, I'm the bad guy.
Why do you tell us this, Jacob? This makes me very upset as somebody who's grown up in Syracuse and can't stand
as a
snow.
weatherman, I just like to ruin people's days, lie all the time, you know.
I know, right?
Typical weatherman.
See, you're telling me it's going to snow now. The last time it snowed was April 28th last year. We were here.
How do you know that?
I just remember that stuff.
Crazy.
You know?
Well,
April 28th.
That's all the time we have. Be sure to stay tuned for Weatherwise.
Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.